Senator Ernst, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and General Van Ovost and General Walters, thank you so much for your service and for appearing in front of our committee today. And General Walters, you know that I traveled with many of my colleagues several weekends ago to visit Germany and Poland, and we were grateful for the time that we had on the ground. We had Senator Gillibrand, Senator King, and Senator Rosen from this committee. So we were able to spend time not only with significant leaders from Germany and Poland, but also with the tremendous men and women of the 18th Airborne Corps, the 82nd Airborne All-American, and our Armor Brigade as well. I want to thank those men and women for being there on the front lines and assisting with your NATO mission. But as we focus on Ukraine, we also get very concerned about movement with Russia and the thoughts that perhaps they would also engage in other countries as well. This is something we really haven't addressed in this hearing yet, but despite the fact that Russia is stalling a bit in Ukraine, there are a number of Russian troops, I believe about 1,500 Russian troops that exist in Moldova. And we are concerned about that. And for folks that might be watching out there, Moldova is a country on the southwestern border of Ukraine. So we are concerned about this community, this country as well. So what capabilities or but militarily, perhaps you can speak to humanitarian issues as well, but what have we offered to Moldova as a way of reassuring their country as well?
Senator, our European strategy calls for comprehensive defense and shared response. And from a EUCOM perspective, we examine the 51 nations as part of that grouping, and Moldova is one of them. And whenever there are opportunities to increase our ability to share more info and share more intel, we are attempting to do so, so that for all of Europe, we're improving our comprehensive indications and warnings and command and control and feedback, so when problems arise, we hear about it sooner rather than later. And if there are information pieces that need to go to Moldova sooner rather than later to help their disposition with respect to participating in a free Europe, we're doing so. And the number of liaisons and the number of times that we exchange has certainly grown over the years.
Mm-hmm. Have we seen any movement of those Russian troops that exist in Moldova to reinforce the actions in Ukraine, or do we see any movement shifting from Ukraine into Moldova?
At this point, Senator, neither.
Okay, that's good. So we know that Poland has offered MiG fighter jets, the S-300 anti-aircraft systems to support the defense of Ukraine. And to this point, the United States has chosen not to engage and be party to those transfers or to backfill our NATO allies. And my question is not why. I think there's been a lot of debate about that. But who specifically is the final authority on making the decision on what gets transferred to who?
Senator, with respect to my European job, the national leader is obviously the individual who's responsible for making that policy decision. And I say that because, as you well know, other nations were involved in this transaction. And the first thing that Secretary General Stoltenberg was keen on was the fact that nations can make the choice with this decision, and it typically comes from their national leaders.
And if we shift back to the United States of America with the assumption that those countries are willing to receive or to transfer, if we are to be a party of those actions, if we are transferring items, who is the ultimate authority in that decision-making chain?
Our Commander-in-Chief.
Okay. Thank you. I'll yield back.